Hello matey, how's it going? I'm Chris, or Captain OldBlue over at CGPirates, and I'm very pleased to have you here with me. Okay, this is compiling. This is where we make our game into something cool, okay? You know, it's already something cool, but we make it so other people can play it without having to have the Unreal Engine. Because people tend to be more impressed if you show them something you've done, if they can just download a file and go, ooh. Whereas they don't tend to be too impressed if, like, you have to then install a big engine on their system and all the dependents and stuff. And take like 5 hours. You know this, you did module 1. Anyway. Okay, shipmates. So what you're looking at here is Microsoft Visual Studio. Now, you may need Microsoft Visual Studio. Okay, it depends. Unreal Engine may ask for it. It didn't used to in earlier projects when you compiled. But nowadays, it kind of does. But that's okay, because it looks cool. And you know what? Even though I've got it installed, I've never opened it, as you can see from the fact that Get Started's written here. So I'm just going to close that, and you get this from visualstudio.microsoft.com. Click Download Visual Studio. I'm just using 2017. Works fine for me, and it's free. So I've got that installed, and if you get that file, you're wondering which version you want, the C++ one. Okay, so there's like a C++ setup. I'm not going to go over that here. I will do a module about it, okay, but I don't want us to get stuck and freaked out and scared on it. So here I am back at level 1, and I'm going to go to File. I'm going to package my project. Now you'll see there's various things we can package it up for, like Android, HoloLens, iOS, Linux. I don't even know what Lumen is. tvOS. If you have licenses for it, you can build for PlayStation 4 and 5 and the Xboxes and Switches and things like this, but you probably don't have a license for that. Now if I go to Windows, I'm going to build a 64-bit, and what I'm going to do is over here in my SSD development, I'm going to make a new folder and I'm going to call it builds, okay, just so I know what it is. And then inside build, I'm going to right click and do module 2 the maze. Okay, this is my own reference. You can call it super awesome thing I learned all on my own and didn't get any help with if you want. Okay, I'll not tell anybody. That's cool. So I'm going to select folder, and now it's packaging the project. So let's look at the output log. Okay, so now you can sit in front of your computer pretending to type, doing all sorts of clever bits. But the most important thing is that really we're just kind of looking at this and waiting to see if it's going to go properly. There's no reason why it shouldn't. Okay, if you look for some certain words in here, you'll see cook command started just at the bottom. This is all automated. There we go. Display running engine for game maze game 1. Failed to find the resolution value, so it's falling back to default, so that's fine, we didn't set any. Okay, so things like warnings we don't need to worry about. And I'm just going to pause while this goes through and does its thing. Okay, I'm just unpausing so that I can kind of explain a little bit of what's going on. So it's cooking the packages, that's basically it's compiling things together. And this will show you basically what it's been doing and how long it took. My computer's pretty fast. It's not as fast as some, but it's still pretty fast, so it's able to get through this fairly quickly. Okay, so now it's creating the pack, and the PAK file is what contains all the compressed game basically. And now it's archiving it, and it's done. The build is successful. So if I close down our output log, and instead I'm going to open up a window. Here we go. So now we can see our builds, the maze, and inside it says Windows No Editor, because it always does. Unreal Engine isn't a packager. When you double click on your games and software to install it, the packager that they use is normally a separate piece of software that's either been made or has been bought off the shelf to do this, and we're not using that. So this is maze game. Okay, and if I go in, you'll see here we have all the files that make maze game. So inside engine, we've got all the things that make this work already placed in there. In binaries, under Win64. There's the game itself. Well, actually this is the thing that runs the game. And then anything in here in extras. So there's your prerequisites if you need to set them up. So everything's in here basically to get started. And what does that mean? Well, if I double click on it, it'll take a moment because there's no loading screen, remember, and it should just throw us straight in. There we go. And now, as you see, I'm getting a pretty darned high FPS. And I can explore my maze. I mean, admittedly, I do know where the exit is. And I can go through the exit. And that is literally a basic maze game. Now, I realise, as do you probably, that, well, I've got to the exit but nothing happens. That's because we don't have our reward set up yet. Okay, a proper game will give the player a little bit of reward, maybe a ding, well done, and take you to the next level or whatever. But all we were interested in is making the basic game itself. So we can't even get out. If you press escape, nothing will happen. If you want to know how to break out and get out of this, what you need to do is just press the button above your tab key called a tilde. It looks like a little kind of diagonal comma. And you'll see a bar opens at the bottom, and just type exit. And we're out. And you have a game that you can, if I just right click and add to an archive, because I'm using WinRAR, and let's see, we'll create a self-extracting archive, click OK, and this will not take very long. There we go. And it's done. 408 megabytes. Now you may be thinking to yourself, oh, that is an awful big game. Yes, because obviously, okay, and we're building it in a basic way, we're using a lot of stuff that came with Unreal Engine that automatically goes into the build and is automatically built with it. We're not stripping that down and optimizing at the minute, we're just learning the basics. So that's not a bad size really for your own self-contained executable game. Alright, so let's go to what we've learned in the next part, and until then, I'll see you later on.